And welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Here we are. We're back at it. We're doing another show. Yeah, it's late in the day for me. It is 4:37. I usually try to do these in the morning at some point, but here we are. I'm very sorry. I did not see a movie this week. And in fact, I was supposed to watch Kinds of Kindness today because I have yet to see it. And it is leaving Hulu on October 1st. But unfortunately, I've been doing this it doesn't matter in the long run, truly, but I noticed that there are so many shows or movies on my streaming services that are just sitting in my queue and have been doing so for years. And I'm either like halfway through shows or even sometimes in a lot of cases halfway through episodes. And the last time I watched them was like 2020, 2021, 2022. And some of them were like, yeah, some of these were very, very, very old. I'm looking at the list now and I'm embarrassed to talk about it. But there are shows like, This Way Up is a show, and it's a show I really like. Aisling B, it's a show I watched before I even knew what Taskmaster was. I watched Catastrophe and I said, Sharon Horgan's going to be in this show. Let me watch this show. Oh, Aisling B is a very funny person. Alice in Borderlands. I was halfway through season 2 before season 3 was announced, and then I, for some reason, just stopped watching. It's a great show. These are great shows. I just never watched them. And then movies that I haven't seen before, but I've been meaning to, like The Prince of Egypt. That's leaving Netflix October 1st, so I have to. There's some other shows on there. Rami was a show that I got halfway through, and then I put it aside for a split second, and then I just lost track of time, and it's been several years since that show ended, so there you go. That's how it happens. I just recorded a late night lately, and let me tell you, if you never heard that show, it's the Late Night Show podcast I host, and it's not a recap podcast. It's just talking about late night as a whole, and it is hard to find stories for late night. But what I try to do, what I have not done in a long time, is write jokes for it. I write a monologue, and monologues are hard. Last minute monologues were very hard. At least this week I had topics already lined up. So that's good. I had topics from Monday all the way up to today. Some of these were even happening today, and I wrote the jokes, and then I recorded, and the jokes came out really good. What else has been going on? Also, on top of getting my watching stuff done, I've also this is so stupid. I have also there weren't. I looked at my list of movies and shows that I've gotten halfway through. Shows that I've gotten halfway through and movies that I've been meaning to watch, and it's not as big as like the games that I have gotten an hour or 2 or 5 into, and then just stop playing. So I'm really trying to take hold of that at this point. Metaphor ReFantazio, I think that's what the game is called. It's from the same company as let me go to my playlist, my IGN playlist, my IGN.com playlist. It's from the same people that did Persona 5 and Persona 5, the Persona series, Atlas. My Persona 5 is one of my favorite games of all time. Persona 5 Royal. And so this Metaphor game came out. Metaphor ReFantazio came out. And it is Persona. They're both JRPGs, Japanese RPGs. Persona 5 has the anime goodness that I was looking for. There's a lot of people who are like, anime is my life and that's all I watch. I've seen every episode of Naruto and One Piece. I'm like a casual fan. If you say I watch Dragon Ball and Pokemon, and then if I hear that this 26 episode anime is good, then I will look into it. And if there's a dub, I will definitely watch it. Assassination Classroom, I enjoyed the dub. I don't want to read while I'm trying to watch things. I'm sorry. Unless it's a movie, I'll do a foreign flick, a foreign TV show without a dub though. I'm sorry. Anyway, metaphor is, so these Japanese RPGs. It's the anime stuff, and then on top of it, there's RPG mechanics, role playing game mechanics. In terms of Persona, you go to school during the day and you fight monsters at night, and that's truly that is a distillation, and that does not do it justice. There's so many things. You have jobs, you have girlfriends. I was caught on Valentine's Day. I had 3 girlfriends. I had to choose one. I went with Makoto. Is that her name? Yeah, Makoto. She's a year older than me. No big deal. I also had my teacher. That very true. I had my teacher, and I had Hifumi, this girl who's like a chess champion. I don't know if the game is called chess, but I thought it was chess. Khashoggi, Jamal Khashoggi, Saudi Arabia. Speaking of which, there's a stand-up comedy festival in Saudi Arabia. And I'll get back to my games list right now. Saudi Comedy Festival. And I am so disappointed. I am so disappointed in the people who are choosing to go over there. And I'm so disappointed that I agree with Shane Gillis, of all people. It is crazy. It is crazy that Mark Maron, Shane Gillis, and Zach Woods we're all on the same side. But man, this comedy festival, which is being held in Saudi Arabia, is going to feature some of the biggest people. It's called the Riyadh, I guess, Comedy Festival. And on top of the transphobic and gay-hating Dave Chappelle, there will be, I'm going to pop it full screen, Jeff Ross, Ali Sadiq, Gabriel Iglesias. You have all the money in the world, Gabriel. Why are you doing this? Jessica Kirson, Aziz Ansari, Kevin Hart, Nimesh Patel, Chris DiStefano, Tom Segura, Joe Coy, Sam Morril, Hannibal Buress, Sebastian Maniscalco, Bobby Lee and Andrew Santino, Maz Jobrani, Bill Burr. I don't care about Whitney Cummings. I'm skipping over people I genuinely don't give a flying fuck about. Pete Davidson, Mark Norman, Russell Peters, Zarna Garg, and Chris Tucker. Some of those people have all of the money in the world, and there's no reason why you need to go to a country that last held a crucifixion, a public crucifixion, a crucifixion in general, in the last couple of years. You don't need to do this. That is blood money. This is I can't believe that we support people like this, and they go and make these decisions, and then we just kind of brush it off as if that means nothing to us. Like, how can you take a stand on one thing that and then go ahead and take blood money? I'm surprised by Kevin Hart. I'm surprised by Gabriel Iglesias. I'm surprised by Aziz Ansari. Jimmy Carr makes sense. I'm surprised by Bill Burr, but I'm not surprised by people like Dave Chappelle. It is, I am so and then some right-wing comedians I saw in there that I skipped over intentionally. And a couple of people who were deservedly canceled. Just saying. It just doesn't make sense. You can't, if you would get more. You don't need the money, first of all. You don't need the money, Kevin Hart. You don't need the money, Gabriel Iglesias performing in stadiums. It's baffling to me. And quite frankly, I don't respect any of those people that were mentioned. There's a lot of people in there I never respected, but I don't respect any of those people anymore. It's that should be brought up over and over and over again, that you would take money like that. Anyway, I'm making headway in Gears of War Reloaded. There was a point last Friday night I was playing Gears of War Reloaded, and I was so tired. I was like deathly tired. Like today, I was deathly tired. It was because of the workout. But I was playing Gears of War Reloaded last Friday, and I just thought, okay, I'm gonna beat this game this weekend, and that's what it's gonna be. And it's only 8 hours long, or however long it's supposed to be. Like I'm gonna beat this game. And then I looked at the walkthrough where I was, and I just went, oh, Jesus. And I just didn't do it. All I did was watch sports. But I'm looking at my now playing section, and it used to be filled on IGN.com, the gaming news website. Also has a playlist section where you can make your account and you can add games to your collection. And I've like any gamer in today's day and age who continues to buy games and just put them in their backlog, I have a sizable collection, and I'm just trying to take that number down. And in my now playing section is a PlayStation 4 freebie I got years ago called Erica. It's an hour long, and it's taken me forever to get through it. It's my fault. Gears of War Reloaded, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Booster Course Pass. I said I don't have the money to buy a Nintendo Switch 2 at this point in time. But I said before I get a Switch 2, which could happen next week, it could happen in the next 3 months. I said I have to, because the day I get Switch 2 will be the day I get Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and the new Pokemon Legends ZA. I said I have to beat the Pokemon DLC, which is on my list, the Crown Tundra, the one for Scarlet and Violet, and the one for Sword and Shield, as well as Pokemon Legends, Arceus, because again, I just buy games sometimes, and I go, I have that game. And then Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Pass. Before I get World, I want to just get all gold trophies, and that's it. I'm not a completionist or anything. I just want to be able to do this. Hey, speaking of Nintendo, this comes from Varieties, written by Jennifer Moss. Nintendo of America President Doug Bowser is stepping down. He took over the mantle when Reggie Fils-Aimé left just a couple of years ago. And Doug Bowser will be ending his reign over there at Nintendo, and he'll be passing off over to Devin Pritchard, who has been there for she's been in the video game industry for almost 20 years, but she's been a Nintendo exec for a very long time. Pritchard served as the Executive Vice President of Revenue, Marketing, and Consumer Experience at Nintendo of America, overseeing many aspects of the Switch 2 launch this spring. I'll tell you, she did a really good job. Pritchard will also join the Nintendo of America Board of Directors and become an executive officer at Japan-based parent company Nintendo. Additionally, Satoru Shibata will join Nintendo of America as CEO while continuing his roles as managing executive officer and corporate director and member of the board at Nintendo. When did Reggie Fils-Aimé leave? When did Reggie Fils-Aimé retire? According to Wikipedia, he retired in 2019. Yeah. Cool. This is a sort of a shorter tenure for Bowser, which is to each their own. It's good that he's getting out seemingly on top. I guess the Switch 2 is selling well enough, and Nintendo's doing well enough. I keep seeing. I subscribe to a guy on YouTube right now. Remember, every YouTube channel I subscribe to is temporary. I am willing to just drop people. Right now, there's this thing on YouTube where people are putting their faces in the thumbnails and they're having their mouths open and they're doing like a weird face, and I hate it with all of my guts. And there's a reason why I unsubscribe from a lot of people. And the people that I am subscribed to now, not all of them, because I don't subscribe to single people anymore, with the exception of 1, 2, 3, 4 single people, five single people. Of the 5, 3 of them are doing face things, and it's pissing me off. Anyway, I saw this video from a guy named Wolfden, and it's titled "So Does the Nintendo Switch 2 Have Games or What?" And uh, I again very angrily I was like, "Yes, they of course the thing has games." I understand that the Switch 2 came out in spring and it came out in a limited quantity, and at this point in time, or at the point when it came out, it came out in the summer, on June on my birthday. Oh my god! But at that point in time, it had one game, and then in a couple of weeks, it would have another game. While I do agree with the notion that there aren't many Switch 2 games, uh, it is a backwards compatible machine, and the idea of a launch of a classic Nintendo launch with so many games, of any console with so many games is gone. And the Switch 2, I understand the idea, the notion that there's not a lot of games, but it's still, the Switch 2 is just kind of like a souped up. It's like I have an S25 Ultra, I have an iPad Pro. Those are just the best versions of what the base devices are, and the Switch 2 is kind of what this. It's kind of like two Switch 1s, fortunately and unfortunately. So fortunately, it is something that you could have gone out and bought for $500, and gotten Mario Kart World in the same package, but then also you can play your other games. Yes, I could do that with the PS5. I could do that with the Xbox Series X, which I did do that. I don't think I had many games when they first came out. And then you also have to factor in that Nintendo's first party games for this console, they're only putting out 3: Kirby Air Riders, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and Mario Kart World for this first year of the console, between June and November of this year. And then you also have to factor in the third party developers. Did they have enough time with dev kits? Were they able to make their games compatible? There was Cyberpunk is on there, Cyberpunk 2077. There's other versions of games, but Nintendo, you have to trust in them that they will make the right decisions and put out Nintendo Directs. And thank Christ we were able to get 2 or 3 Nintendo Directs between this date and when the console originally launched. So now we have a little bit better outlook of what is coming later this year as well as next year. We have Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, which is the third Hyrule Warriors game. Wild Heart S, which is a souped up version of the Wild Hearts game. Bravely Default had a remaster, HD remaster. Mario Tennis Fever is coming out next year. I don't know what the Dust Bloods is. Then on top of that, and the same thing that happened with PS5 and Xbox Series X, and even the PS5 Pro, is that we have updated, advanced versions of games that have already been out. Sometimes they were not necessary, like the Super Mario Party Jamboree version, the Jamboree TV, which had mixed results, and then the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of a Fallen Kingdom. Those games had updates that I don't know why I should pay $10 or $20 extra for that, but they're here and they exist in the same way that Kirby and the Forgotten Lands new DLC, $20, exists. Some companies are taking it to extremes, and unfortunately Pokemon Company is one of them. The Pokemon Company is the company that makes Pokemon games. They're putting out Pokemon Legends ZA, which is coming out in a couple of weeks. That's getting paid DLC, which is the way of Pokemon now. Instead of putting out multiple versions of games, we're just going to get DLC. We're going to get two mainline games and then DLC for both mainline games. But for Legends, it's only going to be one version. But anyway, they're getting DLC for Pokemon Legends ZA, and it has got people in a tizzy because they're hiding complete versions of that Pokedex behind the DLC, which is something I do not agree with. I do not like that. That is so stupid for Pokemon Company to do. And anyway, but So I'll say the answer is twofold. The Switch 2 does have games, and Bowser and Company, Nintendo, have done a decent job at outfitting this console with what it needs to survive. For the DS, if we remember back to that, and for the Wii U, uh, excuse me, we should not be referring back to the Wii U, a failed console. Um, for those consoles, even for the Switch One, we'll have to remember that there was kind of an IV drip of games, and until it became until the the floodgates were open, to speak in cliches. The floodgates were open, and suddenly we games are coming out all the time. I think next year will prove whether or not this console that sold extremely well these past couple of months and now is available to get on Amazon and Walmart and Target and Best Buy without having to wait for reservations or whatever. Um, it'll next year will be the proving ground for it. Not 2 years from now, but next year. Right now, I think it's fine. We're in a very difficult time financially. The entire nation, the entire world is, especially with these goddamn tariffs. So to 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 ask more from this $500 console that seemingly third-party developers barely had time with is a little much for Nintendo, and I'm not defending them. However, it is. I just think that if you have a Switch 2, you more than likely have another way to play games, and Nintendo will see that, and they're going to try. And I think if they're smarter, then they'll be like, okay, well, here's another Mario mainline game. Here's this, here's that, and at a much quicker pace, because I do think that people are becoming disenchanted with what Nintendo is at this point, and I say it all the time. We need this competition. You don't want Microsoft to stop doing the Xbox, because then the PlayStation 5 will become the dominant thing, and Sony is a company that I already see resting on its laurels. So I think Nintendo is leading the pack in terms of innovation and doing stuff that's fun and making games that are fun. Because in the end, I don't want to play a lot of shooting games. I just want to play things that are fun and jumpy, and I can jump around. I love platformers. I like it. I want to do a fighting game. I want to do another Sonic game. Come on, bring it on. All right, this next thing comes from the Hollywood Reporter, written by Winston Cho. Disney hit with legal salvo from shareholders over Jimmy Kimmel's suspension. The suspension rocked the world, and unfortunately for Disney, man, oh man, it is going to be looked into harshly. A group of Disney shareholders is exercising its right to demand materials related to the company's decision last week to suspend Jimmy Kimmel's late night show, a precursor to a potential lawsuit. In a letter to Disney, the American Federation of Teachers and Reporters Without Borders said there's, quote, credible basis to suspect that the board breached its fiduciary duty to investors by prioritizing, quote, improper political and affiliate considerations. If this happens for any board, and any shareholders, if you go behind their backs and do something that they see as unsavory, they will more than likely come back at you. They don't care who you are. And we've seen it for companies like OpenAI when they tried and also succeeded, and then also were unsucceeded from ousting Sam Altman. We've seen it. We've seen have we seen the board of Tesla reprimand Elon Musk? But we've seen it all over the business sector. So, with the idea that with the political fallout from the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel, and I would say the monetary losses that Disney had with the monetary losses we saw from the suspension, these board members are correct. and then also the next day after Jimmy comes back, they go, by the way, we're raising prices on Disney Plus and on Hulu. It's insane. Because what happened to Jimmy being suspended happened, period, and also happened so quickly. It created this aftermath, and now shareholders are saying that they want to see what happened behind the scenes because they were left out of the. I mean, it's not their decision to make, but they were left out on the blue. They also want to seek communications with government officials, Nexstar and Sinclair, over their decision. Copies of Disney's deals addressing affiliate stations' right to preempt programming, which, if you'll remember, Nexstar and Sinclair said that they're preempting Jimmy Kimmel's return. He came back on Tuesday, and he did 3 shows, and they said they're preempting that time slot with old episodes of Family Feud. Anyway, Sinclair today, like truly just a couple of hours ago, said, hand in pocket, looking down the ground, kicking at the rock, saying, Jimmy's coming back. We're gonna air the show. We're gonna air the show again. They also wanted policies regarding moderation of late night programming and information on the company's ability to obtain regulatory approval in other areas of its business. They're looking for, just proof of what could be considered misconduct. Depending on what they uncover, the investors could file a shareholder lawsuit. There's credible basis to suspect that the board and executives may have breached their fiduciary duties of loyalty, care, and good faith by placing improper political or affiliate considerations above the best interests of the company and its stockholders, said the letter, which cites concerns of whether Disney took into consideration Nexstar's $6.2 billion mega merger with Tegna. The lawyer for the shareholders is Robert Kaplan. You may recognize that name from the trials of E. Jean Carroll, who sued Donald Trump for sexual abuse and defamation. Kaplan said in a statement that large media companies should not succumb to unconstitutional threats or blackmail. Excuse me, Roberta Kaplan. My goodness, I saw Robert. Roberta. She said ABC was the network to run the series Schoolhouse Rock more than 50 years ago. Its leadership should pay attention to the important lessons it taught. It's very important. It's very important, and I don't understand why these companies think that it's okay for them to do things and then not be reprimanded. And I'm glad that these shareholders are truly holding Disney accountable. Don't let them off the hook. I don't think they should let Disney off the hook. This is going to be a stain on Bob Iger's legacy, and if he is looking to retire from Disney once again, because remember he did it before, and Disney was going down the drain. But I wouldn't say down the drain. That's hyperbolic. Anyway, but if he's looking to hand off the company once again, potentially to somebody like Dana Walden, who also helped make this decision, again, it wouldn't be Dana Walden, but I'm saying somebody like her, then they would. This is something that he kind of got himself into this mess, This next one comes from Mike Hale over at the New York Times. It says, why did Apple get cold feet about Savant? A new show starring Jessica Chastain was supposed to drop, a miniseries, was supposed to drop today on Apple TV+. But Apple TV, in solidarity with Charlie Kirk, decided against dropping the show, putting the show up on Apple TV+. Hey! It's about an analyst investigating domestic terrorists. They pulled the show from the schedule and the statement the company said was after careful consideration, it decided to postpone the show and plans to release it at some point. Jessica Chastain posted a statement. Hey, sorry, there's an animal running around in here. Jessica Chastain posted a statement disagreeing with the postponement, saying that she and Apple, quote, were not aligned on the decision to pause the release of the Savant. Mike Hale said that he turned in his review on Tuesday morning of the show, and then by Tuesday afternoon, Apple TV Plus pulled it from the schedule. Again, the show is talking about domestic terrorism. This is a massive over what is the word I'm looking for? It's what happens when I'm so tired, guys. What is the word I'm looking for? Overcorrection. It's a massive overcorrection when it comes to this decision. I don't understand. I remember years ago, unfortunately, when we were having a lot, I guess we're still having a lot of mass shootings, but when we're having, just constant mass shootings, which are, again, happening a lot still, but seemingly like every other day at one point, and shows that happen to have guns in them, or movies, they'd be postponed or pulled from the air, and it was just, I get it. I understand. You don't want people to be, I'm going to use a therapy word, triggered. But stop. But it is just to baby people because something is sort of related to something else. You're not giving your audience the benefit of the doubt. You're not giving them the ability to be adults and truly discern what is right and what is wrong. A lot of us were raised on PBS, and we can truly understand and say, hey, this bad, this good. Some people are mired in religion and religious beliefs, and they can go this bad, this good. It doesn't make sense to me when a company that prides itself on having diverse voices and being pride and having pride for the LGBTQ community or differently able communities will do something like this and truly just make your service something that is undesirable. I don't know the last time I turned on Apple TV Plus. It should be free. I paid for it for the last 2 months. I haven't watched it in the last 2 months. The character was inspired, Chastain's character was inspired by the anonymous subject of a 2019 article in Cosmopolitan magazine called, "Is it possible to stop a mass shooting before it happens?" At the time, the woman, identified as Kay, was focused on rising threats against women, and experts quoted in the article connected the increase directly to the 2016 presidential campaign of Donald Trump. Man, that's some serious stuff right there. The show, however, lacks any such specific point of view. In fact, it is hard to imagine a show about domestic terrorism with fewer political signifiers in it than The Savant. He's kind of tipping his hand at the review, like it's or even like the synopsis of the show. It seems like The Savant is just in general kind of an 8-part miniseries concerning domestic terror, mass shootings in general. As far as I can remember, what are you doing? Stop. Sorry. How unprofessional is that? Just don't lean away from the mic. But this is what happens. It's almost dinner time. I have to feed them. I want to support Jessica Chastain, but I feel like I am the romance period with Apple is over for this platform. To have Tim Cook come out there and just go to Trump and be his try to get in his good graces is none of these tech people, none of these business people, none of these people have, and I don't mean this in a literal sense, but they don't have any gonads anymore. Like, they don't, where are their balls? Stand up for yourself. Doesn't make sense. Hey, continuing off the Apple TV tip, I've been holding this one for weeks. This comes from Tony Maglio at The Hollywood Reporter. Where did all the Apple TV Plus animation go? They do own the peanuts, but all of the animation is basically gone. In late 2018, when Apple TV launched, the service ordered all of one animated series. It was the early days, which makes sense. But then at one point, they were having a lot. They had more animation series than and even movies than some of these other platforms. Frog and Toad was the show that they picked up. But now it appears even if you take Netflix out of the running, because it is just crazy how much animation they've picked up and then dropped off. Apple TV Plus is just it seems they peaked in 2022 and 2023 with a max of 15 animated shows, but now they're down to 5. In 2019, again, they had 1. And it seems that along with Apple TV Plus, Peacock is something that does not have a lot of animated shows either. My goodness. Peacock has 2 as of 2025. Paramount Plus has 1. Oof. Their peak was 6. And that was back in 2021. Hulu had a peak of 10 in 2021, down to 2. Disney Plus has 5 now at a peak of 10 in 2020 and 2021. Max had 20 in 2021 and down to 5 now. And Netflix, their peak was 73 and 75 in 2021, 2022, and now they're down to 25. For 24 months, Apple TV Plus gave animation a real go. They had, what kind of shows did they had? What kind of shows did they had? They had some Charlie Brown stuff, some Peacock. Let's see, Apple TV Plus animated series. Okay, that's not Apple TV Plus. Okay, Apple TV Plus original programming. I'm going to their Wikipedia page. Seeing a lot of political dramas, comedy, kids and family. Okay. Fraggle Rock, Back to the Rock is over? Oh, that sucks. Animation. Central Park, Strange Planet. Both of those shows are over. Snoopy in Space, Doug Unplugs, The Snoopy Show, Wolf Boy and the Everything Factory, Harriet the Spy, Duck and Goose. Yeah, they really stopped. And a lot of those shows I don't even know. Central Park was tough to get through. I'll say this. This is not an insult. I think it was a well-written show. It does not stand up to, because it's made by the same people who did Bob's Burgers, it does not stand up to Bob's Burgers. I do think that was a show that was made during the pandemic, and it was, well, I guess the second season, and you can very much tell, especially in the recording of of some of the characters. Some people were able to record and talk in full volume. Other people were whispering their character lines, and they were not given direction to do anything else. Okay, this May, Charlie Brown's Gang released their first original musical in 35 years, but that was a one-off thing. Apple and Wild Brain, the Peanuts' current owner, they're currently working on a feature film, but that's pretty much it. We're not getting anything else as of late. And again, as I said, all those shows, including Pinecone and Pony and Interrupting Chicken, were all canceled. Some shows continued outside of this, but they're not moving much. Eva the Owlet, Wondala, and Stillwater, Frog and Toad, Sago Mini Friends, and Curses ran 2 seasons through 2024 and have all not had a third. Bear Brick, Not a Box, and Goldie are new in 2025, but it's not really moving the needle on things. So animation, as we know, is very hard. If you're a longtime listener of the show, I worked at Cartoon Network a couple of years ago during the pandemic, and And that was like right when Discovery took over Warner Brothers. Oh, I miss I missed the golden years. I came in at the tail end. Um, but during that time period, we in meetings. This is. I think about this all the time when I'm watching cartoons, and I watch cartoons a lot. But we would know when shows were going to do well before, and we would know when shows were doing well in the middle, and we would know which shows were going to be pulled almost immediately, which is crazy. And it was just fascinating to see Cartoon Network and Adult Swim, because they're the same. To it was fascinating to see them just lose shows, and to see HBO Max just like lose shows. So it's three platforms: Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, and HBO Max. To see them just disappear and not know whether or not they were coming back, or to see them just go and know for a fact that they weren't coming back. There was a show, God, the Ellen DeGeneres animated show. I remember specifically sitting in a meeting and they're like, "Hey, we're not going to air it," and it was already made. There were episodes up on the Screener app, on the Warner Brothers Screener app, which I love. I miss that. It's I understand animation is very difficult to make. There's a show on Netflix right now called Haunted Hotel that I really enjoy. The pilot is very much a pilot. If you That show was renewed today, I believe. It was announced that they're coming up with the second season. More often than not, for almost every animated show, because they take so long to make, they just order them. They order a couple of seasons ahead of time. So that's why you have a show like Universal Basic Guys on Fox getting 2 seasons, because that's just what happens. Even if the show is not good. That's why Crapopolis was able to get 2 seasons before the first season even premiered, and that's why they announced season 4 before even season 3 was happening. So it takes time to make these shows. They're expensive, and I don't know. I'm guessing that they don't know if they're going to do well. When you have built-in property like the continued Adventure Time series, the spinoff with Fiona and Cake, and then the follow up 4 45-minute movies or episodes of that show. That people are going to tune in and watch. When you have a show like Young Justice, unfortunately, there used to be a time where a show like Young Justice would have to sell toys in order to be successful, no matter what would happen. He-Man, that's why that show did so well, is because it was able to sell toys. Able to sell a toy to some dumb kid. But eventually, Young Justice was canceled, unfortunately, which is it's an excellent show. A lot of factors go into it. It doesn't. Ratings do matter, and the online chatter do matter. But at this point in time, you have to. I remember the Young Justice creator saying, "Put it on, press play, and just keep watching it over and over again." And that's very true. Like just watch it. If they see millions of people are watching all the time, then they're gonna go, "Hey, people really like the show." It's tough. Animation is very tough, and I'm glad that some shows like it, to what seems like some shows what's that horse show, Talking Horse, Netflix. What's that show called? Not BoJack Horseman, singing show. Centaur World. That was a good show, and I'm glad that show was able to tell its entire story in 2 seasons and 18 episodes. And I'm also glad that The Dragon Prince, I believe that show, was able to tell its story in, I think it got like 6 seasons or something like that. I'm glad it's able to tell its story, because sometimes these shows get unceremoniously canceled, and it's not fair. So it's a good and bad perspective, or prospect of having an anime show. But we need more of them, and not everything can be reality or a game show or existing IP. Sometimes you have to take the risk, and that's why shows like Haunted Hotel or even the Dragon Prince. They can leave lasting marks on fans, and you can build a fan base, and then you can expand from there. But you have to be able to take the risk. And if the show can be made, 9 times out of 10, people are going to like it. And they're not all going to be Universal Basic guys. They're not all going to be bad. And they're not all going to be the Dragon Prince. But, you never know until you make it. All right, listen, if you like what you heard here at the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous. If you want to watch a video version of the show, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can watch a video version of this show, as well as a video version of the other podcasts, Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show, as well as LinkedIn Logs, the Jobs podcast. And you can also watch me talk to famous people under the interviews. If you want to see a video version of all that, youtube.com/cpluscomedy. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media at cpluscomedy, Blue Sky, TikTok and Instagram, me at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, no, wait, I'd say it right now. Okay, here we go. Bye.